think people are ready to be back, and a lot of businesses are opening up, a lot of things are opening up. So, we'll see.
Love it. Are you guys meeting physical services yet?
No, we're waiting. I think, there's the governor is allowing it, but it's at like 25%, we can't have kids services. So it didn't seem like it was a win for us to try to wait and see now. So we're waiting for kind of phase 2 to get rolled out, or 3, or whatever phase it is. I'm totally, I've lost track of them, but yeah, man. How about you guys?
Yeah. Man, I think that's really smart. We're having our first, we did a drive-in service this past Sunday,
Nice.
and had pretty good attendance for that for Mother's Day. And then we're having our first service again this Sunday. We basically been waiting as well until we got the all clear to have kids services, right? So it's like, okay, well, we could have people come back, but not kids. It's different. So yeah, we'll see. It's interesting because I'm like, hey, let's get back to church. I'm ready to go. Right. My wife's like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to take the kids back yet. It's like, yeah, I get that. And it's funny. The majority of people I've talked to, at least in our church, like my friends, in our like social circle, it's the same thing. Like the guys are like, oh my gosh, we just have church again. Like I want to see my dudes. I hate being stuck at home. And most of the moms are like, don't know if I want to take my babies back just yet. Not sure how we feel about that. So yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, we're doing awesome, man. Doing real good.
Good.
And I've been enjoying working from home, which has been cool.
I like that you saw that Chris Farley meme when he's like running through the audience, like high-fiving everybody, and like pastors on the like. I think everyone thought that, and now that we're in this, it's like, oh no, it's definitely not going to be. The people that are excited, and then we did a thing a few weeks ago where we went to a nursing home and just had signs and walked around the building and waved at everybody because they haven't been able to leave their rooms for 2 months, and it was interesting, man, because it was like 50-50. Like half the group is not, we probably had about 40 or 50 people from our church show up for it. Half the group is wearing masks and they're like, oh yeah, air high five. And the other half is wanting to give you hugs, no masks, they're over it. So it really is, it's like one side or the other,
Wow. That's interesting. What a great idea, man. Going out to like nursing homes and stuff. I didn't even think about that they're probably like on lockdown.
Lockdown, totally.
Wow. Man, that's awesome.
Great, man. I mean, we have a big Jeep crew and they all showed up in their Jeeps and kind of parked in the parking lot and flashed their lights, and then people just walked around and stuff. So it was a good night, man. It was like 20 minutes and you're done. Just kind of a quick event, but everybody really enjoyed it.
Man, that's awesome. What a great idea. Yeah. Shoot, I might talk to my church about doing something like that. We've gone out there before and taken like acoustic, guitars and done some like acoustic worship.
Yeah.
That'd be a great time to go do that and just kind of hang out with people.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, dude, awesome. Here's a couple of things we're going to be talking about today. Is some of it re-entry, because there's there's like Oklahoma and Texas where Ezra is, and like some of us are like kind of slowly getting back in, and then I know there's some people like Jamie Newstead was mentioning a couple of weeks ago. Michigan's like still on lockdown. I just talked to a church in Michigan yesterday who's like, even if we go back, it's months away. It's like, I think they're still at like a shelter in place, stay at home order until the end of the month, at least, before they even look at opening anything up. So I know everyone on here is probably in a different spot, depending on the part of the country that you're in. So we're going to talk a little bit about reentry stuff, but then also just how to facilitate more ministry conversations with people during this time. Right. So the interesting thing about this, I'm rereading. I don't know if you guys have read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's one of my favorite books. It's phenomenal, and I love it from a leadership standpoint. He chose, like Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. He chose not to write a book on like all of Nike. He only wrote it on the part where like the struggle, right? Like the part of the beginning where they're actually growing. The book ends when they take Nike public, because he's like, at that point, like all of a sudden everyone becomes overnight millionaires and all that kind of stuff, right? And the money's good and everything. He's like, but man, the story is about the struggle. The story is about constantly being on the verge of bankruptcy and getting shut down and all this different stuff, and how to bloom in a crappy economy. And so the part that, so I've read it before, I was rereading it right now, and I read yesterday, there's basically a part where before Nike was Nike, they were actually Blue Ribbon Sports, and they were importing a Japanese running shoe called Tigers. And they did a couple of $1 million a year, and they built their entire business on this and had like 30 or 40 employees. And then all of a sudden, like one day, like Tiger showed up and just said, hey, we're shutting you down. We're cutting you off, right? No more shoes. You're done. So they literally lost the only thing that they're selling. So they had to go all in on this new brand called Nike that they were developing. And they were having a totally different company start manufacturing it, like a rubber company in Japan. The quality wasn't very good. The shoes would fall asleep. Okay, sounds good. The shoes would fall apart in cold weather. Any sports fans that are hardcore sports fans, you'll actually know the quarterback of Notre Dame in the national championship game back in the 80s. He was wearing a pair of Nike cleats and they literally fell apart by halftime during the game, right? That's about as bad as it can go for your company. And so what happened is they're literally in this part where it's like the brand isn't ready to roll out to the public, and yet they just got cut off. They're in the middle of a super down economy, right? The country's in a recession. It's like one of those things where it seems like everyone's just defeated. He gathers the whole company together, right? And everyone's basically like, man, do we just throw in the towel? Do we just give up? Like, what's going on? And Phil Knight just sat there and he said, he looked around and he saw everyone and he saw their faces and how everyone was defeated. And he said, here's the facts. And he laid out everything. Onitsuka just cut us off. We can't import tigers anymore. We got this. They're threatening to sue us. This is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, which means we've got them right where we want them. Right? And everyone just, wait, what? And he said, heads popped up. He's like, this is our moment. This is where we take over. A down economy, our supplier cuts us off, a brand that's not ready. This is it. Right? And so I think what happens is just, it made me think about the situation that we're in right now, right? Down economy, people are stuck at home. Most of us can't even have church, right? It's like, man, this is our moment. This is the spot. This is the make or break. Nike could have folded. Most businesses would have or did, and that's why we've never heard of them. But Nike kept going and figured it out, right? Like, it's a lot of times one of my favorite new mantras, I think, is done is better than perfect, right? Like, so many things we want to be perfect, but man, at the end of the day, if we can just get it done, right? So it's why when we launched the Guts Network at my church here a couple of years ago, and some of you guys were probably even in that, and we were coaching churches through how to start a Plan Your Visit program for the first time, right? Like, we were literally making it up as we went along because we were figuring it out week to week and then teaching it to the church, to the churches in the network. And it was interesting because you would have some churches who are like, yep, let's dive in. We're launching it this week. We'll figure it out as we go. Those are the guys who thrived and won. The churches that didn't were the ones, and usually they were the larger churches who were saying, okay, this sounds awesome, but man, we've got to recruit our volunteers for the Plan Your Visit team. We've got to train up our host team. We've got to get our systems in place. We're going to launch this in 3 months, right? And it's like, don't launch it in 3 months, launch it in 3 days. Like, you'll learn more trying it this Sunday and figuring out the mess part of it than you will trying to plan for everything. Because, right, is it Mike Tyson who said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Either Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, right? It's like, yeah, like no, the Army says, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy. As soon as you start something, you have to, everything changes, right? And so, like, right now we're literally in this time where this is unprecedented time. We're all trying to figure it out as we go. And so one of the best things that we can do is literally just try stuff. So I want to encourage you guys. Some of you guys have your Facebook ministry ads on. Some of them have them paused right now. If you have them on, I would just dive in. Like really, like, man, consider if you can figure it out, and maybe you can throw it out if you don't have the money in your budget, maybe you throw it out on like a Sunday morning or to some of your key people and just say, hey, listen, at this time, like, this is our moment. This is our time to shine. This is where we punch the devil in the mouth. Man, would you guys be willing to give an extra $10 a month so that we can reach more people in this time and try to pray for our entire city? Right? I mean, if you could get 10 people to give $10 a month and maybe put a limit on, just say, hey, for the next 90 days or for the next 120 days, would you be willing to give an extra $10 a month so that we can pray for our city? Right? You get 10 people doing that at $10 a month. Like, man, you're going to be able to start like upping your budget and reaching more people, right? And if somebody catches, we've had people catch a vision for this and all of a sudden give $500 or $1,000, right? Like, now you've got some ad spend and you've got some people who are and you're able to just reach more people. If that's not an option, and I'd say for pretty much everyone it is an option, right? It's just some people may not feel comfortable rolling that out. Even if you don't have a budget, or if you roll that out and nobody steps up to the plate and gives, right? What you can do is you can literally send one-on-one messages to people. The easiest way to do that would be to send a broadcast, right? So we've covered that before. I'll share my screen real quick and just and show how easy it is. But basically, here's what that would look like. Send a broadcast that just says something like this. Even if your ads aren't on, if they are on, this is a great thing to add to it as well. But literally, just say something like, "Hey, I know this time has been really hard on a lot of people. I just wanted to reach out and see how you're doing." Right? But send a broadcast. So it's gonna go out to every single person who's subscribed to your messenger list, but it's gonna come to them as a one-on-one message from the church, right? And then sign it your name at the bottom. And you're gonna start up a bunch of conversations of just people where you're just checking in with them, right? Just like if you've got 150, 200 people on your messenger list, right, with 93% open rates, and people, it's gonna feel like a personal message from you that you're not asking for anything, you're not trying to get anything like me. You're just saying, "Hey, listen, I know this time's been really rough on a lot of people. How are you doing?" Right? And now you're starting that conversation. You're elevating that relationship. You're building that relationship equity, that leadership equity. But it's just a way to connect with people. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, and they're already on your messenger list, right? So, and I would consider doing that this week. Just reach out to people. Just start that conversation, right? And then it gives you a chance to invite people to the live stream on Sunday if they haven't been coming, or if you guys are doing online small groups. Or if you have something like that. I think that's, Ezra, that's how to do a broadcast. Yeah, Caleb, do you happen to have that video by any chance? If not, I can find it. But let me, I'll show you real quick the easiest way to do that. But we do have a video tutorial here somewhere that we can drop in the comments. I can find. All right, so let me, I'll just share my screen and show you guys how easy this is real quick. All right. So here's the back end of ManyChat, right? So literally all you're going to do is come down here to broadcasting. Move this over here. All right. And so once you're in broadcasting, all you do is just hit new broadcast, right? You're going to click on Messenger because we want to send it through Facebook Messenger. And then literally you just start typing here, right? Like, obviously, you would you'd put a little bit more in there, right? But hey, I know this time's been really rough. A lot of people are having a hard time. I just wanted to drop you a line. I just wanted to check in, right? How are you? And then all you have to do is so again, this is kind of the weird thing. I would go probably account update on this is probably the closest thing, right? Like we talked to Facebook about it, and they're literally like, yeah, we don't really have one for prayer update or something like that, right? For churches. This is probably the closest one for what this is. So I'll just go account update because they basically created an account with you when they subscribed to your messenger list, first subscribed. But so anyway, so I just tag it as an account update, literally put like, how are you? And then when you go to next, all you have to do is just say, okay, it's non-promotional. You're not selling them anything. And then literally you can either start sending now, or you can schedule it for later at another time. And that's it. Then you click send now, and it's going to go out to everybody out there. So that's one of the easiest ways I think to connect with people right now is literally just send out a broadcast, right? And that's not something you want to do too often. But if you did it this week and then you waited another 2 or 3 weeks and then sent something else out like that, right? If once every 3 or 4 weeks you just drop the broadcast just to ask people how they're doing, right? Or just a different question, some type of engaging thing where you're asking a question so that they can respond to you. It's going to start that conversation again. And again, those broadcasts, man, it's free, 93% open rates, right? So why not take this time when you do have time, when you're working at home, to connect with people, right? And you can answer them on your own time, but man, now you've got a way to do that. So we did this last summer, and it was at my church, and it was literally just we're kind of talking about the prayer ads and all that stuff. And so we decided just to do one giant, we had about 2,500 people on our messenger list. And we did this through, actually, at that time, we did a text message. So we did a text message. I think we're using text in church, and we just sent it out to a database of probably 5,000 or 6,000 people, and just said like, so all the guys, we sent one message from Chano, my brother-in-law, said, hey, this is Pastor Chano. Man, just want to check in and see, man, how can I pray for you? Right. And then we did the same thing. All the women, we sent it from Pastor Nina. And I'm not kidding. We had thousands of responses Like it was, I remember sitting out at a July 4th celebration, helping my brother-in-law respond to all of them because people poured their heart out, like couldn't believe. And the crazy thing is, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they thought it was a personal text message from Pastor Chano, right? It's like, man, I didn't even know you knew who I was, bro. Man, I've really been going through some stuff. I just lost my job, right? Like, and there was just a database of all the people. Some of them were people that visited our church once. Some of them are regular attenders that have been coming for 20 years, right? And everything in between. But like our entire database, we just sent out a text message, just said, hey man, how can I pray for you, right? What's going on? So usually if you guys have some type of text message service, that's another way to do it. I wouldn't do both at the same time. But if you start with Messenger, again, you're going to reach out to all these people that probably don't go to your church that are new people. And it's just going to kind of reconnect and get that conversation going again. And then again, it just kind of naturally leads into inviting them to the live stream or into a small group Bible study or something like that you guys are doing online. All right. So let's see. Okay, good. Caleb found that link. So in the chat, there's the how to do a broadcast. As you guys can see, it's pretty easy. It's probably less complicated than even sending out an email like MailChimp or something like that. But we do have that video in there that shows you how to do it. David said, recommend sending a message versus a short video. Okay, David, that's a great question. I love the short video. Like love it. I think it's one of the best things that you can do. We've talked about on here. Like I love when you have physical services. I love going in on Monday and sending like personalized selfie videos to every single one of your first time visitors from the day before. Every single one of your Connect cards. So I'm a huge fan of selfie videos because it feels so personal, especially when they hear you saying their name, kind of like the audio prayer, and just thanking them for coming out to church and inviting them back the following Sunday. Yeah, so you could do it both ways. I would say whatever you're comfortable with. You would probably get a better, a slightly better result if you sent a video. Not everyone's comfortable doing video, but having that video of like, so I think I think it's going to come across personal either way. So most of the time, I would say definitely video. With this one, I'd say it's probably 50-50. I think you're still going to get some. I think video you might get a slightly higher response rate on video, but even through text, just because it's going to feel so personal, it's coming from the church and you're signing it with your name at the bottom, right? It's like, oh my gosh, man, Pastor Ezra just reached out to me. Like, I mean, he just wanted to check in on me, see how I'm doing. So I would say, either way, but because they're both going to feel personal. Usually I'd say video in this case, I'd say you can probably go either way. Whichever one you're most comfortable with. All right, so let's open it up, see if we have any other questions. I want to make sure that we answer any questions that anyone might have and that kind of stuff. I've got some other things I can show you guys that I was thinking about, just some stuff that I've been thinking through at our church. If we don't have any questions, but I want to make sure to answer those if we do. So Azelle, Ryan, Jill, Amy, David, you guys, Demetrius, you guys got any questions?
I know most people don't like to be the first one to ask a question, so let's move on to the second question. Anybody have?
Skip the first question and do the second question.
Yeah, we'll just do the second question.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't think about that, bro.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, bro. That's why I'm
okay.
Here. I'm gonna start calling people out. All right, let's go. Let's start with Chris. Chris, I unmuted your mic. Muted it, but he muted it back.
I just muted it, thinking I was unmuting it. No, I didn't have necessarily. I think the question I asked Caleb, you might have been answering, Chris, and that was just. Sorry, I got on late. It was just about shooting a broadcast message in Messenger. One of the things you said in the beginning when we started, and when we were reading some of the stuff and following instructions, was don't do that too often because Facebook can kind of stop that, or they look at it as spam. So but I think what Caleb said is, and you're probably on here talking about, and that is during this period of time, this is a good time to do it. Yeah. And I kind of missed, and I'm sorry, you don't have to repeat, but just for us at Remnant Church, obviously we're open now because of the governor's order in Texas. And then of course, it doesn't mean everybody's out and about. I mean, we're not even floating half of what we had before this happened. But we want to drive people into the sanctuary who are willing. And then of course we want to encourage them to view our online stuff. So what's the best broadcast message to push out in that case?
Yeah. So great question. Here's, man, I really like, there's a phrase, and I don't remember where this came in. I don't know if it came up at a staff meeting or what, but we're using it at my church, and I love it. I've been sharing it with people. I'm putting it in the chat, but I love this phrase. Basically, it just says, when the time is right, the doors are open. Right? Like what I like about that is it doesn't feel like we're pressuring people to show up. It doesn't feel like we're like, hey, we're back, let's go. And then people feel awkward if they do or don't come, whatever, right? It's basically saying, hey, listen, and your safety and you being comfortable is what we care about most of all. So when the time is right, the doors are open. Right. And so I really, I think that messaging really kind of captures this moment right now in a way that feels really healthy and really respectful, but also communicates, you know, like, man, for like, I've got a buddy of mine who's like, dude, I don't care what's going on with the virus. The second the doors are open, like I'm there, like me, my wife, all of our kids, like I don't care. We're going to punch COVID in the face. Like we're doing this. Right. And then I've got friends who are like, I don't care when they open. Like I'm not going to go until there's a vaccine. Right. And so it's like, so you've got like far extremes. And so I think just being respectful of all those people and not making people feel like, you know, my pastor announced we had a drive-in service this past Sunday. And he announced, hey, we're going to have our first service next Sunday. And listen, here's the deal. If we're not like, man, if you don't feel comfortable coming next Sunday, no judgment, right? Like, man, we want to put this, when you are ready to come out and bring your family, we want you to know we're here. The doors are open and we are taking every single precaution that we can. And he shared a little bit about it. What I love is, so I don't know how to link to an Instagram post. Let me see. So we just posted, let's see if this works. All right, I'm gonna try this and see if this works. In the link. So we just if you guys want to click on that, actually it's probably easy. Let me just share my screen. I'll show you a little bit of it. We posted this video because we had a staff meeting a couple of weeks ago. And so one of the things we talked about, and we're just saying is, hey, it's really important. We talked about it on some coaching calls here too. It's really important communicating all of the things that we're doing to keep people safe, right? Like part of it is just the optics, right? So everything that you're putting out, like, you know, we had an outdoor drive-in service. Nobody was allowed to have their windows down or get out of their car or any of that stuff. And all the volunteers were like 10 feet apart, but we still had all the volunteers in masks and gloves. That was actually completely unnecessary. We're in a parking lot, but it communicated that we're taking this thing seriously, right? That we're putting people's safety first. And so like even everyone like holding these signs of like, welcome back. It's good to see you again, right? Smile Sunday, all those like, you know, welcome. Everyone holding those had on like surgical gloves and masks, right? Like one of my buddies came up, was talking to me, he goes, I am sweating like crazy underneath this stupid mask. He's like, and I drank so much coffee, I'm smelling my own coffee breath. It's awful. He's like, but if it'll help people think that we're doing the right thing, it's worth it, right? So I think those types of things and thinking through that. So let me share my screen. I'll see if I can share this video. Sharing Instagram on a desktop, which doesn't normally happen, but so like this is the video.
Since we began in December of 1992, our commitment as Guts Church has been one thing: to help people win. We are dedicated to prioritizing the safety, security, and well-being of every single person, from the youngest to the oldest, that steps on our campuses in Tulsa, Skiatook, and Sapulpa. In times like these, our focus remains on forward progress with the guest in mind. Your health, as our highest priority, is more important to us than ever, and we have taken extensive safety measures to ensure peace of mind for you and those you love. As we welcome you back to church, we're committed to providing you with a safe environment. We are redefining our cleaning and safety standards with the help of experts in public health. Our staff has been hard at work facilitating the regular and rigorous cleaning of all high-touch surfaces with hospital-grade disinfectant. Electrostatic cleaning has taken place in each and every one of our rooms of ministry, children's areas, and restrooms. We are cleaning surfaces with increased frequency and recommended cleaning agents. Signage in public spaces will remind everyone to maintain appropriate distancing. Sanitation stations with masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers will be available throughout the building for your use. Sanctuary chairs have been adjusted to allow greater distance between rows. And the North Sanctuary and upstairs classrooms are available for parents and children to enjoy service together as a family. Our Guts Kids teams have gone above and beyond in their efforts to create the safest and friendliest environment possible for your kids. adding new protocols for disinfecting the property, and training our staff and volunteers in new standards of care. It's important during this time for you to be following Guts Church on all social media platforms for the latest updates as we actively monitor and improve our solutions to ensure continued focus on the health and safety of you and our team. It's here that you can tune into church online and let us know of any questions you have about joining us in person at any of our campuses. When the time is right, the doors are open. We're here and ready to welcome you home. Since we began in December of—
Stop that. Okay, so that's like that video, right? Like I was like, I feel like that kind of like encompasses, like, it's literally like, never did I ever think we would be posting a really important video of people cleaning, right? But right now, that's one of the most important things that you can do as you're starting to open up your church, right? And so part of that comeback plan, I think, is going to be communicating that. And it's funny, like, Ezra, you kind of touched on this at the beginning of the call, but like I thought when this thing first hit that, like, okay, we're gonna it's probably not gonna be a couple weeks, it'll probably be a couple months, but once we do, we'll open it back up. We'll have a giant grand opening. It's gonna be like Easter in the middle of June or whatever it is. Man, it's gonna be amazing, right? This is the opposite of that. Like, this is actually like this like slow roll back into re-entry and people coming back to church, and how long will it take, right? And so you know, it probably is something where until there's a vaccine and we've totally got it under control, there's always going to be a little bit of you know, weirdness or like it's just we've basically transitioned into this weird kind of hybrid church, right? Where even the churches that are in states where we can start having services again, you're still going to have people who are core members who don't feel comfortable coming back and that's going to be for months, right? So communicating those types of things, I think, is really is really important at this time, but also just the whole no judgment thing, right? Like, listen, like, your first priority is being a good steward of your family and shepherding your family. And so, man, if that means that you guys come this Sunday, right? Or that if you need to stay home for a while until the dust settles, man, I want you to know, like, no judgment, we've got your back no matter what. But here's what we're doing to ensure the safety of you and your family when the time is right. You know, and then just showing people cleaning, right? Gloves, masks, cleaning, like saying things like hospital grade cleaning agents, right? It's not just like, hey, we're spraying it down with Clorox, right? It's hospital grade. Like, one of the things they were even using some stuff like the electrostatic, like whatever, like in Stabbing, they're like, yeah, we rented this blah, blah, blah. Like everybody knows what that is. I'm like, hey, just so we know, nobody knows what the crap that machine is. So if it does some type of a like deep clean on a molecular level, we need to just say, hey, we rented a really expensive machine that does a deep clean on a molecular level. It's literally the same thing that hospitals use to clean ORs, right? Now people know, they don't know what hydrostatic, electromagnetic, whatever is, right? So just using those, you know, thinking through those types of terms. And like I said, you guys saw it in that video, but that phrase, when the time is right, the doors are open, I think that's a really important phrase. And that's going to help quite a bit. So
I know James had a question, Chris.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let me scroll down here. Okay, James. Yeah, what's your question, man?
All right, sorry, I'm actually at church right now, and I have a question. How do you address the comeback plan for the small churches that are under like 50 plus, right? I'm in Canada, and my thing is this, where we're in a place where we are dealing with minorities and people that are in low income families. How do you deal with that?
Did you watch the that social media video that we just showed? Like, from
Yeah,
Instagram?
I saw the social media thing. The concern that I have is this: we're dealing with people that have like low income and things like that, and most churches are not going to get like 100% occupancy. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how do you go about the strategy of dealing with, you know, a congregation that's over 50? Because that's what we're dealing with right now. Most of our members are over 50.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the, in my opinion, and that's all this is, just my opinion, but if you've got a lot of members who are over 50, it might not be, I would actually tell them to stay at home and watch online. Like if there are people that are out, that are at risk, right? Because one of the things like we've talked about, and I can't remember who brought it up on one of these calls a couple weeks ago, but it's like, we're in such uncharted waters. We don't know what liability issues look like, right? So if somebody came out to church and got the virus at your church, and then they ended up like being hospitalized or even dying, what's the legal ramifications of that, right? And so it's nothing to be scared of, but it is something to take into account. So one of the things that we've been communicating is that, like, hey, listen, man, if you're older or you're at risk and you've recently, had surgery or anything like that, man, we want to invite you to continue to be a part of our online live stream community, right? And do that, because we don't want to put anyone at risk. So if there's older people, that's just my opinion, but I would say, hey, listen, if you're over the age of 50 or 55 or 60 or whatever it is, man, we recommend, according to the medical advice, that you guys continue to stay home and watch the live stream, right? And then we'll kind of, as things progress, we'll kind of keep you updated. But I'd say for everybody else, in order to communicate kind of what you're doing is, I would say you do a selfie video like you're doing right now on your phone, and literally walk people through the church and just talk about what you're doing. Like, talk about like, hey, we've been using hospital grade cleaning agents to wipe down all of the kids' rooms. We've removed all of the toys from kids' areas so that kids won't be, touching these things, right? Like, we're literally like every 10 minutes we have people wiping down high touch areas and right? Like, so it doesn't have to be like a slick produced video. It can literally just be a selfie video that you post on social media or send out through a broadcast inside of ManyChat, where you're just communicating everything that you guys are doing in order to prioritize the safety of your people.
Oh, I have one more question. Do you guys consult medical professionals? So for people that are rehabilitating. So one of the questions that we were thinking of, like, substance abuse is going to be on the rise, alcoholism is going to be on the rise. Those types of issues. Would it be imperative to discuss that or no?
I'd say that's probably a case-by-case basis. I don't know if I would address that publicly. That might be something, unless it was more something that you're just like, hey, listen, here's, we've been running into a lot of people who've been struggling with this. And so, man, if you fall into that category and that's you, we want you to know you don't have to go through this alone. So reach out to us. And we'll, we can help you, right? Or we'll help you get in touch with the right people. So that way, that might be probably the best way to kind of handle that. And then just give them an easy, anonymous way to be able to reach out, or confidential, not anonymous. My 5-year-old daughter's knocking on the doors because she can't understand why her daddy is not wrestling her right now. It's like, you're at home. Why can we not wrestle? Which I don't want to brag or anything, but I did pin her 8 times earlier before the call. So she's got nothing on me. Hey, beautiful. I'll be out in a little while, okay? And I'm going to pin you again, and you're going down. Okay. So, all right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions or anything that we need to cover here? I know we're about 5 minutes over, but I don't want to leave anyone with questions if you guys have some. Oh, here we go. Amy had one that I missed here earlier. Although, Ezra, I love your comment. Caleb does look like he's about to produce the next Jay-Z album. Got 99 Problems. I love it. Okay. So Amy said, what's the recommended amount of dollars per day for Facebook ads? Started at $10 a day. We're getting lots of responses. Not many in the last week. Is there a recommended target for dollars per day? Yeah. So here's the obviously everyone's budget's different, right? So the short answer is basically like whatever you can afford to do and stay consistent at. I think if ever there's a time to go to throw more money into the ads right now, I think this is it. There's so many people, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, the currency of the world is attention, right? Like that's it. And right now people's attention is on social media. Like people are bored, they're stuck at home and they're on social media. We've seen this massive spike. in online activity and social media. And so if ever there's a time to take advantage of the increased attention, it's right now. And again, it's not using it to invite people out to church or for any type of marketing thing. It's literally just say, hey, how can we pray for you? Right? And connect with as many people as possible. So we have noticed a tipping point around about $30 a day. We've got churches that are running as low as $2 a day. We've got some that are running at $100 a day. But we've seen some type of tipping point at $30 a day where all of a sudden Facebook starts to show your ad to more people for less money. And you get a lot of really good traction right around $30 a day. I don't know what it is about that. We've tested it. I've even run ads before, like, and test them at 20 or 25 or 27 or 33. And I don't know, there's just something magical. Once you hit that $30 a day, it's like, it feels like everything's going good, but then you hit $30 a day and there's just kind of a tipping point where all of a sudden you start reaching a lot more people. So if that's something that's doable for you guys, $30 a day is a really good price point. Obviously, if you can do more, but that seems to be kind of the traction or tipping point there. So, okay, let's, I think that's probably about it. Let's see, David, you had a personal question. Yeah, David, if you want to stick around or whatever, you and I can chat here. Okay, well, rock and roll. If that's it, if you guys want that, I threw that link in there, but you guys can check out the Guts Church Instagram if you wanted to check out that video or any of this other stuff. Like I said, I think that's kind of the tone to do. The other thing is, if you're looking for somebody who's doing it right, if you guys go to life.church, man, Life Church has a really, really cool, actually, I'll share my screen really quickly and show you guys this. This is something that's good to take a look at for a comeback plan. So they literally have, when you go to the website, they have this, latest COVID-19 stuff, and you can read through this. It's all pretty cool. But what's great is they're now having basically plan your visit, but for every single person that goes back to church, right? So you basically have to save a seat if you want to come to their sanctuary. And I think this is cool. Again, just for the optics and what this communicates is, before you save your seat, be sure to ask the following questions on behalf of your entire group for saving seats for this weekend. Am I showing any flu-like symptoms? Have I had a fever of 100.4 or higher in the past 14 days? Have I had prolonged exposure to someone who's tested positive for COVID-19? Is there any medical reason why I believe I shouldn't be around others? If you answered yes to these questions, we strongly encourage you to attend Life Church online this weekend. All good? Let's go ahead and save your seat, right? And so, like, literally, you click, you click your campus and then pick but like, you don't have to have something as robust as this, because I'm sure they like custom coded all this stuff, right? But like, even if you just had a form on your website and you can use Wufoo, you can have a free Wufoo account and sign up for a form. But that way you can literally, like, people can go in, and that way you could make sure, okay, we've got this many seats in order to still stay social distancing and all that kind of stuff. And then if those fill up, you can literally say, hey, we're actually out of seats for this weekend. We'd encourage you to watch online or save your seat for next Sunday. Something to think through, though, but I thought that was really cool when I saw that. And I was like, man, it's basically plan your visit for everybody, right? The whole like saving your seat thing is kind of a cool deal. But again, what it communicates, it's helpful, but it also just communicates how seriously we're taking health, and we're taking this whole thing and wanting to protect people while still having church. All right, so you guys can check that out more at live.church if you need anything, or go to the Guts Church Instagram if you want to follow up with that video. Other than that, peace. It's good to see you guys. We'll see you next Sunday.